Hi Wilchester friends, it's Miss Baker. I'm here in your garden at school taking care of it for you. I'm weeding and fertilizing and just cleaning up some of the plants. I wanted to show you around and we can talk about what's growing and what care needs to be given for spring and summer. Maybe you have a vegetable garden at your house. I can give you some tips on what needs to happen with what you have growing here at school. So let me give you a look. What we have is the tomato garden, and your tomatoes look amazing. Right here is one tomato plant, believe it or not. You can hardly tell where the main stem is. That's kind of a problem, but we haven't been here, so it's to be expected. But what I'm doing is I'm going to be thinning and clearing off some branches because tomatoes need good airflow. If they're all crowded and bunched up and big like this, you might think that looks great because it's so green and big, but without good airflow, the plant will get sick and soon you'll start to see spots on the leaves, and disease and pest will move in. So really this big of a plant is not great when it comes to tomatoes. I'm starting to do that over here. I'm starting to do the work that I was speaking of. This one was actually just as big as the one I just showed you, but what I'm doing is I'm going in here and I'm starting to break off branches. So these branches that are down here are not going to produce the fruit anyways. And when I break these branches off, I'm going to create better airflow. You can use pruners if you want, or they bend and break pretty easily. And I'm just taking off entire branches that are just crowded underneath here. They're not going to produce fruit, and so it just really causes more problems than anything. You want the plant to get tall. If you can keep all the leaves off the ground, off the soil level, that's even better too. And up here at the top, you can see there's some little tiny flower buds that are just starting to form right here. The yellow flowers will open up and then that's where the fruit will be. So I'm going to clean all of these tomato plants up for you. We're going to fertilize because tomatoes need fertilization about every 2 weeks. So that's another good tip. You all already have awesome soil. I mean, just look at this soil. It's dark and rich with nutrients. So we know the soil is good. We just need to add some fertilizer. So that's it for the tomatoes. Okay, so hopefully you can tell that there was some work done here. I've been working on thinning this plant. There's a lot of grass and branches that were here, but once I got down underneath and exposed, got some sunlight, look at this beautiful little tomato. And actually it's not too little. It's a pretty nice sized tomato. There's a smaller one here. But this was the goal, was to get sunlight to the flowers. There's a couple yellow flowers, and then get some air flowing through here. So now this plant's gonna be much healthier. We've gotten a little bit more weeding to do on this side, but looking a lot better. These cages are gonna help support. And then one other thing I've been doing is trying to get these branches inside of the cage if I can. Some of them are a little bit too big. Like this one, if I would try to bend it underneath, then I'd probably break it. So some of these will have to just use plant ties to tie up. Others I'm trying to get inside of the cage so that it can be supported as it gets taller and taller and taller. Okay, here's another one of your awesome gardens. Something interesting in here. Well, number one, look at this cute thing I just found. If you look closely, here is a beautiful ladybug on your potato plants. I wanted to point out that this shape leaf here is a red potato. So these are red potatoes growing in most of this garden. They're looking beautiful. The potatoes should be ready to harvest at the end of May. And they're growing under the ground, of course. But then over here in the corner, there is another type of potato. So let's get a close-up look. Right here, this leaf shape is different than this leaf shape. So there's another great vocabulary. We know that the shape of a leaf is an inherited trait. So this leaf shape, I have learned over the years that is a red potato. And I have learned over the years how to identify a sweet potato leaf. And you guys remember at the beginning of the school year, we had beautiful sweet potato vines. And so this is a sweet potato plant. So in the corner here are sweet potatoes. And then over here, the rest of the bed are red potatoes. So learning the shape of a leaf can help you identify plants in a garden. The sweet potatoes won't be ready until fall. The red potatoes will be ready in late May or the beginning of June. All right, this is your kale garden. Now you guys had a lot of kale that you harvested, throughout the school year, and this is what's left of it. Now it's gotten kind of big and tall like a tree. The leaves wouldn't taste good anymore. This is almost, it's as tall as I am, so not good to eat, but we can really see something cool up here at the top. Those are kale flowers, and we know that the function of a flower is to produce seeds. So actually, I don't know that I've ever even seen kale flowers before. If you let the plant get really old, it'll make flowers, the insects come and pollinate, and then look at that, it almost looks like broccoli at the top. And then we'll have seeds, so the kale will make seeds. I also wanted to show you over here the root system. Kale is known for being super hard to pull out when it gets old because it's just such a big, strong root system. We know that one of the functions of a root is to hold the plant in the ground, and my goodness, this root system was just really hard to pull out. It's holding on to a lot of soil, and so that's a really good visual for us to see a fibrous root system that was really strong and old and was holding on to a lot of soil. Okay, so here's the kale garden. We've got all of the old kale out that I just wanted to add one more quick vocabulary in here. We've got all of these old leaves. Now if I leave them here and just cover them up, is that okay? The answer is yes, because these leaves will decompose and they'll just become part of the earth. They'll actually add nutrients back into the soil. Many times we leave the roots also in the garden because, again, adding nutrients just with these dead, decaying plant parts. So the kale leaves, we'll leave some of them. The rest we're going to take over to your compost, and I see a big surprise over there. We're going to go take a look and see what's growing in that corner. Okay, friends, I'm over here near the compost pile, and we know, just like this sign shows us, compost only, do not open, do not use for trash. And some sad news. Trash. Will these plastic bottles decompose and turn into humus soil? The answer is no. So we're gonna have to clean out the compost bin. The only thing that we want to put in this compost bin are plant material, so weeds and old vegetables and things, because those will decompose. Sometimes when we have a lot of material that doesn't fit in your composter, we throw it in this corner. And here is something pretty interesting. Here's some happy news. After seeing plastic in your compost, let me show you some happy news. This is awesome. I am going to guess that this is a pumpkin. Let's see if we can find any evidence. I'm looking for some seeds. You know, if we throw a pumpkin over here, the pumpkin will decompose and then the seeds will germinate if all the conditions are right. I don't see any pumpkin seeds to help me identify on the ground, but these leaves are big, the flowers are beautiful. I don't see, the flowers usually open up in the morning, but you can see some of the flowers here that were probably open this morning. Here's one that's probably going to open tomorrow morning. I don't see any fruit yet. Let me keep looking here. Sometimes you have to look. Oh, I see another plant adaptation. Look under here. Who knows what that's called? This helps the vine climb. It's an adaptation called a tendril. So this squash plant has tendrils. Of course, it's nothing for it to climb right now, so it's not using the tendrils, but it's just growing bigger and bigger. But we'll keep our eye on this and see what kind of fruit grows. My hypothesis is that this is a pumpkin. By the tomatoes, we've got these big cages that are going to support the tomatoes, but right next to this one is a big, beautiful sunflower. So I'm excited. It seems like a couple years in a row we've had a big sunflower right at the same end of the garden that's over here by the water. So excited for a big, beautiful, happy sunflower in your garden. Also, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank your awesome PTA volunteers that are helping to keep the garden cared for and watered and checking on it. So a big thank you to them while we're away from school. That's a big part of keeping your garden healthy and growing great. Okay, the last garden that I'm going to show you, lots of great pepper plants in here. We've got all different bell peppers, yellow peppers, jalapeno peppers. Look at these long skinny peppers right here. Look at that. So peppers love to grow in the heat of the summer. They like even moisture. They like to have space to grow. They're growing next to this big leaf. That's not a pepper plant. If you can see the shape of a pepper leaf compared to the shape of this. This is a squash. Now there's no label, so I'm not sure if it's a yellow squash or zucchini squash, but some type of squash is growing here. Once the flower and the fruit grows, we'll know which kind, but it looks super healthy and it's growing right next to all these great pepper plants. All right, friends, so I am done for today. I've got your garden cleaned up. We've got peppers, squash, potatoes, 2 types of potatoes, tomatoes, and onions. So the garden's looking good. We'll keep taking care of it for you, and y'all have a great day.